Okay, so it seems like this year is the year of the Google Docs, as it seems like we've got another one that has dropped over this situation, which I've covered in a previous video. Now, this is all to do with a VTuber artist called Suiika. Now, they essentially do, art and live 2D rigging, for a lot of VTubers, and they actually put out a post a couple of weeks ago, pretty much talking about a person who was apparently stealing their work. Now, obviously, as you can see, they've been blocked. They provided a lot of proof behind, some of the tracing and stuff that has been going on, and, well, what they believe to be tracing. And, well, it did seem pretty cut and dry, but it seems like we have a response from this person that was accused of doing this stuff, which provides a whole new perspective on this situation, which I thought was quite interesting, and it seems like a lot of people are also taking their side here. Now, obviously, I don't really know too much about whenever it comes to art things and particular kind of styles, but let's just read through the response and we can make up our mind at the end of the video. And there's a lot of people looking at this, by the way, as you can see in the top right corner. There's all these people kind of looking at this. They say, preface, there are serious allegations about my art posted on Twitter by Suiika on May 25th, 2025. The main concern being circulated is that I've traced or copied from Suiika and or other artists in my final works uploaded on my Twitter. I want to say that the Suiika allegations are not true. My final works are entirely my own, not traced and not copied from anyone else's work. This is the style I developed over the years of practice, personal exploration, and creative growth, shaped by personal influences around me. The time-lapse recording attached is an example of how my work is entirely my own and created without any tracing, copying, or heavy references to Suiika and or any other artists, as she alleges. Says, I only ask that people can look at both sides of the situation with an open mind, avoid making assumptions and jumping to a conclusion based on one perspective. The following sections will address and disprove allegations made openly by Suiika, which have publicly called my reputation, integrity, and credibility into question. Before addressing each claim in detail, it is important to acknowledge how these claims were presented. The framing relies on selective context and speculation that lead readers to assume and come to a conclusion without full evidence. Each of the exhibits in each section directly addresses and refutes a specific claim that's made against me. I've made sure to include relevant references, sketches, inspiration to show clearly where my ideas came from, how they were developed, and why the allegations do not hold. So yeah, essentially say disclaimer, everything's going to be in the US kind of time zones. Explicit consent has been shown to give these commissioned exhibits, and the document has been formatted in landscape mode, so please keep that in mind whenever it comes to reading it. Now, essentially, they say section 1, the tracing accusations. They say this is not true. They say in anime and art, shoujo and feminine designs in particular, feminine character proportions follow certain conventions, such as thicker necks where the outer edges will usually line up at the iris or even at the inner edge, soft tapered jaw and slightly pointed chins, depending on artistic liberty taken, and how feminine the goal is to make the character. The vertical placement of the eyes can be shifted upwards or down to achieve a youthful or mature look. The nose is generally placed halfway between the eyes and the chin. It may sit lower. These are common guidelines for anime faces when characters are being drawn in a symmetrical front-facing view that is limited in variation. They say I've not traced or copied Suika's model in my model on the left. For comparison reasons, Suika's model and my work have been superimposed to two different Zelazone Zero 3D models from Hoiverse. These are like public MMD models, and they say Vivian and Alexandria on the left and right. As shown, these ZZZ models have archetypical anime proportions, such as rounded chins, tapered jaws, and things like that. When compared side by side, my design aligns more closely to Alexandria, whilst Suika's meshes more closely to Vivian, which I can definitely see here. I mean, there is definitely a little bit of a difference whenever you compare the two. I feel like, yeah, the different characters that they've kind of matched them up to, it does look slightly different, and whenever you kind of put it in that way, it does look a little bit different. And obviously, they say an example, proportion, lip, and eye placement is more closely aligned with Vivian, which obviously, yeah, we can see. I mean, you guys can see literally what this one looks like. So again, you can make up your own mind whenever it comes to that. Now, obviously, they say they keep going down as well. They say Suiika claimed that the eye shape was copied or traced from a customizable eye that can be tweaked with a slider. This is not true. I've neither traced nor copied her eye shape from her customizable eye slider. Exhibit A and B shows where the reference drawing eyes were. Exhibit A, reference used for eye shape. The image on the left was sent to me by a friend as a reference for the eye shape. which is indicated in the screenshot. And obviously, yeah, as you can see here, eye-shape reference for you. This is on the 9th, sorry, is this on, yeah, the 19th of May, 2025. And they say, yeah, you know, the reference my friend sent me. And it does seem pretty clear that they have tried to copy that one. And obviously, yeah, they got some real life references as well for eyes too that they were trying to copy. They say Exhibit B, these are real life references used for specific eye details such as highlights, oval makeup, and waterline. Which again, yeah, as you can see there, it does look very similar. Now they say, to disprove the allegation of copying or tracing, I've recorded time-lapse of a quick bust-up front-facing model sketch, as I primarily work on Photoshop, which does not have a built-in feature to record a time-lapse like Clip Studio Paint or Procreate. The model sketch I've done is referenced from Mattel's Monster High Dracula, and yeah, they essentially put a link to the video here, and you can see that this is a whole timeline of them, you know, drawing the characters with a bunch of references surrounding the actual thing itself. And as you can see here throughout the entire video, there is no, you know, kind of anything pointing towards this being, you know, tracing or copying. They say these are the design references that they use, obviously, as you can see there. They say this is the side-by-side of the comparison that was accused. And obviously, yeah, if this model in particular was accused of copying and tracing, it seems like they're 100% wrong there, because we have seen the time-lapse behind that, and we have seen that they have drawn that without tracing, or at least as far as we know. And they say this is a superimposed image of my work accused of copying and tracing, and the timeline results. The superimposed image of the model sketch being accused of tracing / copying, and the model sketch of from the time-lapse aligns closely together. The general proportion placements of features of the and the shape of the eye, sorry. This reaffirms the point that my sketch is in question was created wholly on my own process, using real-life references and not copied or traced as alleged. He said, I want to highlight three key points here. The claim of copying and tracing. It was alleged that my work involved copying Suiika's. However, as shown, you know, as you can see with all of this stuff, it doesn't seem like, you know, at least everything was copied. Now, I don't know whenever it comes to some of the other work, potentially there was a little bit of referencing or a little bit of inspiration taken from them, because let's be real, a lot of artists do take inspiration from a lot of other artists whenever it comes to incorporating their own style. So I think it is easy to see, you know, why that might happen, and why, you know, someone might actually, you know, just take some points from an artist that they like. But obviously, yeah, straight up copying and tracing is wrong, but it seems like they have kind of cleared up a lot of that kind of stuff. They say the public implication of wrongdoing. Suiika made a public post directly naming me and suggesting that I've been copying, tracing, and heavily referencing. The use of image overlays to highlight similarities in eye shape and facial proportion strongly implies tracing. Even if the claim wasn't stated outright, it can be easily interpreted by the public as tracing. While the document was later edited to clarify her intent, the initial presentation of it carries weight and planted a seed of doubt, one that shaped public perception of me and my works. Regardless of the follow-up edits and tweets, the suggestion was already planted and impacted how it's felt immediately. And obviously, yeah, they're referring to the tweet, which was pretty inflammatory. And obviously, they're saying also clearly said multiple times there was heavy referencing and copying involved. By no means did I claim that every single thing that she drew is traced off of me. And obviously, they've added that at the end, which I think, you know, obviously does look a little bit bad. And they keep on going, saying screenshot from Suiika's follow-up tweet. Yeah, you see, there was heavy referencing and copying, but that's the same thing we looked at. And then obviously they're saying copying OC allegations, the claims of copying a headband, animal ears, two-toned hair, dark goth designs, dark clothing, outfit top design, and red eyes. Say the inspiration for the new OC began whenever I started playing VR chat in 2022. Suiika had made the allegation of tracing in 2022, and I had addressed and disproved, but the accusation had left a deep emotional impact. They say my previous design, which once meant so much to me, became something I no longer identified with due to it no longer representing who I was or how I wanted to express myself creatively. And obviously, yeah, as you can see here, this was back in 2021, said thought something cute. Yeah, I mean, they're saying, while spending time in VR chat and exploring for avatars, I found a space that allowed me to start fresh and slowly rebuild what creativity felt like to me. And you say, Exhibit D here, you know, you got VR chat, avatar, cat ears, headband, whatever. And then you got Exhibit E here, which was posted a little bit later, which is a similar model. And obviously, yeah, as you can see, they do look pretty similar, but not completely the same, where I would say there's any kind of copying going on there. And it does look a little bit more obvious there. And they say, you know, Exhibit C and D. Obviously, this is the March 2022 Suiika's design headband, first made public. Based on the timeline, it is important to note that the avatar's creators' work from Exhibit C in regards to the animal ears, headband, dark design, and hair strips highlights was publicly available before Suiika's 3.0 design, and the headband was released publicly on Twitter. I'm now being accused of copying Suiika's design when similar concepts have existed in the public space before a design was created. This is Suiika's 3.0 design, first made public January 2022. Exhibit F, G, H, and I were included to further show what kind of visual style I was to draw with dark colors, animal ears, and two-toned hair. And as you can see here, yeah, you can see the differences between the two. Again, they say dark colors and edgy designs, pinks, cat ears, two-toned hair, use of gothic crosses, dark colors, two-tone gradient, edgy design, cleavage window, which again is slightly different. They're saying this screenshot depicts a conversation I had with my friend in May 22 about an avatar I came across that I became fond of while shopping for VR chat avatars. This was one of my inspirations for the creation of my character, similarly to Exhibit C, which again is another screenshot. As you can see, it says 2022 here, and obviously all of the other stuff that's come out was a little bit later on. So again, they say DMs between my friends and I, where I expressed I was going through an emo phase, screenshots taken in VR chat of me using edgy VR chat stuff. So again, there's even more evidence behind that. And then obviously they keep going on to, saying Suiika claims the dark clothing and the top design was copied. This is untrue. Please refer to all of this. And obviously, as you can see, these are some of these sketches that they made for the character in early kind of processing, which is in 2022. So this is screenshots between a friend and her. I was discussing a concept that originally meant to be edgy design hauled over my existing character from the 2022 allegation, but I decided to create an entirely new character to step away from the emotional baggage that character held for me. So Exhibit K is with the assistance of a friend who referenced elements from Moro flavor during the design process as well. As a reference photo, I provided a concept sketch was created, and obviously as you can see there's some of the kind of references that they're suggesting there, and even more references as well. They said the OC design process, including mood boards, concept iterations, and color palette exploration. You can see here they've put a lot of design and effort into this, I'd say, with different types of outfits, colors, hair colors, and streaks can be seen. The mood board can be seen in larger details on Exhibit P. Exhibit M, screenshots of DMs discussing the early aspects of my character's theme and aesthetic direction. The messages reference the inspiration from a 2019 anime, My Dress Up Darling, in terms of color palette and design that I felt reminiscent as a part of being in Exhibit Q. So again, yeah, I mean, I was starting to see a little bit of the references to My Dress Up Darling. I'm going to be honest, as someone who has watched the show quite a bit. I mean, it does look, pretty similar, and there's a lot of aspects that they've taken from that, which I think is pretty cool. And obviously, yeah, it does seem like they have, thought about this. A lot of the mood boards and references, as you can see, are all looking good there. And obviously they keep going on saying Exhibit R, screenshots of DMs in which I discuss and develop key aspects to my character's personality. So again, they're also talking about, the personality of the character, and they go on to explain a lot of things. I don't want to kind of, keep you guys waiting for longer than you should do, because I mean, a lot of this is a lot of evidence behind, backing up a lot of the things and what they were kind of thinking behind the design. Obviously, they're talking about the whole, eye pose, which apparently was one of the biggest pieces, which came out from this. And essentially, yeah, you can see here, they made an eye pose post, and essentially they actually took it from a Red Velvet pose, which came out from a song called Peekaboo back in 2017. And so the pose is a key signature move from the dance, where they lift a hand over their face with an OK sign in the hand pose in the music video, and for promotional images for the new album. It was then changed since I didn't like the posing of the hand, and it looked unappealing from pinching the fingers and the thumb blocked out with the majority of the eyes, so it changed to what is now better known as what we see now, where they're kind of like doing that with their hand. It's kind of a weird pose, but again, you can kind of see how they're doing it. And obviously this was the original design with the kind of OK symbol. Yeah, so that seems pretty, I mean, they even share their, playlist here with saying that they added it back in 2020, which again, that is some crazy levels of evidence, but I mean, it does back up the fact that they knew about the song and stuff in the past, I guess. And they say, copying of eye allegations, Suiika claims I have never done eyes that have inner corners of the eyes or underwater line in her document. This is not true. I've always drawn my eyes leading forwards to semi-realism. long before joining Twitter in 2019. So these are old Instagram posts, images from Instagram showing artworks with semi-realistic styles. And again, here's even more and even more. I mean, yeah, I mean, it does seem pretty obvious that they have been doing this for quite a while. They say she claims that the eye shape, specifically for the rap VTuber model and whale go design, was heavily referenced from hers. They say the eye shapes experimented more with the anime style shapes as exhibited in the art piece created by me on the left, and translated onto the rat girl sketch model on the right. And they say Exhibit X, DMs with clients show the work progress. So as you can see here, you know, you can see all the work progress with this client. And obviously they said they got permission with the client to actually share a lot of this stuff. In the picture on the far right, a real life reference photo is visible in the corner. As you can see there, it's like really, really small, but you can see it. So again, you know, it does seem like they have been taking a lot of references from other places. They say Exhibit Y, this includes work of a screenshot progress. So again, they're just showing more progress with what's going on. The whale girl one, they actually show the references that they use for that too. They say Suiika claims that every semi-realism VTuber model has similarities and is not trying to claim all semi-realistic art styles are hers. Suiika stated that the similarities are common among it all, and they're saying by her own statement below, I am unsure to why my style has been singled out, and I think that was just mainly due to a lot of the other stuff that's come out. They just kind of assumed that that was also copied as well, which I can, you know, kind of see. They say real life references of Douyin makeup used in references for years, lashes, lips, and makeup styles, which again, yeah, you can see it's very similar to a lot of the eye styles that they've been using. The same with manga references in novels, comics, webcomics, which again have that similar kind of style. Also, you got the doll art kind of stuff, which they've been using. So they're just showing a lot of the kind of mood boards and inspirations that they had for a lot of the art coming out. So screenshot art updates sent to the client with references surrounding it, which I think, yeah, that proves a lot of the kind of stuff that they have been doing. And again, screenshots depicting DMs in which I was actively exploring and experimenting with different eye styles. Again, yeah, interesting. They're addressing 2022 allegations of tracing / copying designs. There was another artist apparently being being alleged of being copied. They say this concern was addressed previously in 2022, and I'll clarify once more again. In a document, Suiika states that she does not know the owner of the chibi model that Yina made. That way, it's presented could be interpreted that the model was created for a client and sold off for profit. The model in question was part of a personal study and was never intended for commercial use. So again, you know, I will firmly reiterate that I did not trace this work. I do not and have not traced any of my works. So again, they're kind of claiming that they just like got rid of it, but it was just a personal project. That's why no one knows where this model was actually gone to. They say shows model works that were allegedly traced. Obviously, yeah, that was something that we all saw in the Google Doc. They're saying claims that my previous two models, blonde model and outfit from my pink hair model, was copied. When I was approached by Suiika in 2022 regarding the tracing allegations, the topic of design similarities, especially my older model with the cardigan outfit and blonde hair model, were not mentioned. I was not given an opportunity to address these claims at the time, and this first instance of the design comparisons mentioned, I believe it's important to clarify that they were not part of the original 2022 discussion. They say regarding the cardigan outfit, cozy vibes are usually used and commonly seen motifs in the VTuber community. My outfit is not a tank top as Suiika claims, but a one-piece dress. So yeah, I mean, I think that it has been a little bit of a misunderstanding as well, just due to the fact that, yeah, this is actually a very common design you would see in a typical VTuber design as well. And obviously, it does look very similar. I do agree that there is a lot of similarities, but at the same time, I think a lot of art does tend to look similar, especially when if you are trying to point out the similarities between it. So again, I feel like there are some differences there. And obviously they're saying the similarities pointed out the bangs were not derived from a design. It was inspired by a corporate VTuber from HoloLive called HoloLive Lapless. The hair bow was inspired by Sailor Venus from Sailor Moon. My entire design was very reminiscent of Sailor Moon. Bows are widely used motif across countless different character designs. The neck pieces are design elements common in fantasy, idol, and elegant style designs. And that all makes sense to me. I feel like, you know, a lot of that is taking references and inspiration from other places. As you can see here is the Lapless kind of thing that they took the inspiration from. Again, unicorn-themed characters first created in May 2024 and updated in 2025. So yeah, I mean, you know, they're taking a lot of inspiration from a lot of these kind of things as well. Even taking inspiration from Genshin Impact's Kokomi, which you guys probably are a little bit familiar with if you watch a lot of my videos. So again, you know, these are all just the references that they're pointing out. Disclosure, I'm not implying that Suiika has copied or traced my work. However, if the roles were reversed, then one could make a similar claim. So they're essentially saying that there is also similar stuff that has also been, kind of similar to Suiika, or that Suiika has done that's kind of similar to hers. And obviously, if it was roles reversed, then people would be going after her. And they're saying, I believe this logic of solely relying on surface similarities is extremely flawed. This section is only intended to show how subjective and speculative the accusations against me are and why such claims should be approached with extreme caution. A false analogy is a common kind of reasoning that may seem reasonable and logical at first glance. However, this is a logical fallacy. So they're essentially saying that, so they're saying, an example being, Art 1 contains feature A, Art 2 contains feature A, therefore Art 1 must be copied from Art 2. So essentially saying, if the eyes are the same of this model, then they must be the same, or if they even look like slightly similar, which I definitely do think is true. I think that a lot of people are focusing in on like one aspect of the model, which obviously changes whenever you do this superimpose thing, and it does end up looking closer to this because they've got one similar feature, whereas the entire thing being kind of similar. They're saying Suiika's chibi work from February 2025, and this is her chibi work from January 2025, which again do look pretty similar, but they're essentially just pointing out here that, you could just say it the other way around and it would still look bad. And I think that's, what they're trying to claim here is the fact that if you were to reverse the roles, if you were to do, if it's some other work, then you could, kind of point out the fact that, it would also look pretty similar. So it kind of makes the other point mute. Now they say, overall, while Suiika's methods may suggest a certain theory, they do not provide any actual proof. The way these claims are framed relies on logical fallacies and assumptions rather than concrete facts. As a result, this situation becomes a matter of one's personal perspective against another. So again, they're saying, I hope this document kind of gives everyone more context. They're saying, furthermore, refer to the first comparison about Vivian and Suiika's work. When the two are superimposed, resemblance is clear. Again, they go into the kind of claims of having an alt account to stalk. They're saying stalking is a criminal offense. The claim that I have used an alt account to stalk is both unfounded and highly irresponsible. I did think that was a little bit weird. Obviously, I think that was just one of those things that they were just kind of tossing out there. Obviously, I'm assuming they're saying here in the document, saying this shift in language is a definitive statement of certainty to a cautious one that does not dismiss the original claim. They're saying apparently, they didn't stalk them, which again, I do think, I could believe that. I mean, I think it was just kind of heat of the moment type thing. They said damages and clarification. It was stated in Suiika's tweet that I have several years of worth of history of copying her. Again, so they essentially just go into debunking a lot of the stuff that they say here and a lot of the kind of arguments over on Twitter that happened because all of this. They said it needs to be clarified that both had mutually blocked each other. Although it stated on Suiika's document that I was blocked not too long after 2022 allegations she made, the way the situation was presented had many to believe that I blocked her after she reached out, which apparently it was just a kind of mutual thing, and obviously they made it seem like she just blocked her, which again, obviously is a pretty scummy way of kind of framing it. They say, I fully support open, respectful conversations surrounding this, which again is great. They say, however, I believe that this discussion has been approached with responsibility and care, especially when they accuse individuals. So they're essentially saying that, a statement that I will not be reduced or shamed or silenced by false narratives or claims. I hope that by laying out my process, references, and the efforts behind my work, that you'll see beyond the assumption and for what they truly are. So, I mean, that is the full response to this. I feel like it's a pretty decent response from Yina there. I mean, they're saying everyone deserves a chance to speak here, and it seems like a lot of people are supporting it. I mean, comments hasn't been closed or anything. They're saying, I'm with you, always. They're saying, I feel like you heavily reference stars in other people's works. You came off as heavily traced and stuff like that. They say that that's my opinion after reading this document. And again, I feel like a lot of people have kind of assumed that they were taking it from Suiika, when in actual fact, I think they were just heavily referencing a lot of different references to the point where, it does look like they're copying, but that isn't actually really the case. They say, honestly, you actually handled this in a mature way, so it seems like a lot of people are actually supporting this Google Doc, which honestly, after looking at this, it does refute a lot of the claims that Suiika actually brings up. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what Suiika has to say to this, like in response, if there is going to be any response, because, again, a lot of this kind of stuff does refute a lot of the claims, or maybe they're going to go sort it out in private. I mean, it should probably be better if they do sort it out in private. I feel like that would be the best way to actually go about things. Obviously, Suiika is still very, very active. I mean, this post was uploaded on the 3rd of June, and I don't think they've still responded to this document which has come out, which, you know, does feel a little bit suspicious. I mean, you know, you should probably address that as soon as possible, especially whenever it's someone that you've made allegations against. But again, you know, that's the, you know, refutal of that. I wanted to cover both sides of the story. Obviously, let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this, and whether you think that, you know, these are some good claims and some good responses that they're bringing up here, because I thought it was a very interesting situation to go through and to see, you know, who's in the right and who's in the wrong here. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameStop, use my code KAZA, get 10% off. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.